Hurricane Helene made landfall, and we're taking a close look at the storm's impact from flooding.
Because the water had nowhere to go. All the water ran off the mountains.
To the buildup of storm debris.
This is all woody debris that's been removed from the Pigeon River here in Clyde since Helene.
And the long road to recovery across multiple states.
As long as we conquer this hand in hand, we'll be able to accomplish the goals that everybody has.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm WJLA senior meteorologist Brian Vandergraff. Well, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday at this time, models showed a disturbance in the Atlantic would likely stay out to sea. But this morning, not only does it appear that disturbance will likely become a tropical system, it could possibly also impact the Carolinas. We're talking about future tropical storm Imelda. Right now, it's still in the Caribbean, but by early next week, it'll be just off the southeast coast. And some guidance show it striking the Carolinas, while others still showing it staying out to sea. We have the very latest right now from South Carolina meteorologist Sonia Stevens tracking it all for you this morning.
Invest 94L. As it makes its way away from Hispaniola, moves off toward the north and west, it is going to move into a more favorable environment for development. Does it become a tropical depression first, or does it skip straight to tropical storm Imelda? That's what we're going to have to wait and see. But we know they're going to feel impacts in the Bahamas, whether it's a tropical system or not. But here's where it's at right now. Hurricane hunters flew into it yesterday, and that helps to give us more information, although the models still, they're all over the place at this point. This is Futurecast, our in-house model, and we do see that organization occurring. So when does it officially become a tropical system? Is it later today? Is it during the day tomorrow? One of the many questions that we have, but we know the models are consistent with no matter what status it has, it is going to continue to move off toward the northwest through the Bahamas. So the Euro has it nearby Tuesday and Wednesday, actually doesn't have it making a landfall, but very close to our coast. The GFS, the American model, has a landfall to our north late Monday. And then the Canadian has it turning away. So it has actually what we call the Fujiwara effect, where it kind of dances with Umberto. So if it's a little bit weaker, could be influenced by, and that could completely turn it out and away toward the east. Those are the three kind of outliers that we're looking at this point. So we're pretty locked into the timing. If we feel impacts, it would be early next week. But as far as the track, the intensity, and therefore the impacts, very, very low confidence at this point.
Also, while you slept, Umberto strengthened into a hurricane. It could become a major one by this weekend, but is not expected to impact land. But as Sonia mentioned, there's also a possibility it could help determine if future Imelda makes landfall or stays out to sea. Well, today marks 1 year since Helene made landfall in Florida as a Category 4 hurricane. And while this storm certainly left a path of destruction there and into Georgia, its greatest impact was further north. Western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and western Virginia bore the brunt of the storm when it arrived 1 day later. The widespread destruction from floods, landslides, and powerful winds is well documented. At least 250 deaths are blamed in Helene, most of them in North Carolina. Damage also estimated about $78 billion. Wow. Western North Carolina received between 20 and 30 inches of rain, triggering dozens of flash flood emergency. Now this morning, we're taking a closer look at some of the people and communities impacted by Helene and how they are doing just 1 year later. But we're going to start with a detailed look at the flooding and the days of heavy rain before Helene that quickly led to the historic flooding. Asheville meteorologist Megan Danahay begins our coverage.
It just is continuing to get worse out here.
Heavy rain falling nonstop gave us plenty of flash flooding trouble. But when the rain finally stopped falling, the rivers continued to rise.
Take a look. You don't see a container moving like that across the road every day.
When Helene came along, we had the predecessor rainfall event, which saturated the ground, brought all of these rivers and streams up into at least minor flood stage. We had all flash flooding Wednesday and Thursday, and then suddenly here comes Helene with these incredible rainfall rates, and it just pulled all of these rivers up because the water had nowhere to go. All the water ran off the mountains, it ran into the waterways, and so we were able to reach these record crests at many, if not most, of our river gauges.
Hydrological data from United States Geological Survey river gauges revealed at least 60 river and stream gauges recorded water levels exceeding historical flood peaks, with some surpassing century-old benchmarks. The Swannanoa and French Broad rivers began rising on September 26th as a result of the predecessor rain event. After Helene came through, both crushed records that stood since the floods of 1916. The French Broad Basin flows northward into Tennessee, impacting the Pigeon and Nolichucky, which surpassed records set in 1901.
So without that predecessor event, it would have been a bad event. It would have been, a widespread minor to moderate flooding, but it probably wouldn't have been the major to record flooding. This was just an incredible event.
And one of the most severely damaged towns following Helene was Chimney Rock, North Carolina. The floods destroyed numerous buildings, and as Justin Berger reports, many business owners are now struggling to return to the life they knew before Helene struck.
Like so many of us, the first images and videos Shelley Bands McCormack saw of Chimney Rock Village were secondhand.
We saw some drone footage over the restaurant, and we just saw the river going down Main Street.
Her family has owned Riverwatch Bar and Grill for more than 2 decades, but because of search and rescues nearby, it was well into October last year before they could make their way to check on their business.
We walked into Riverwatch and we had about 8 inches of mud all the way from the front door to the back door, and we just didn't really know where to start. We looked around and we just felt really overwhelmed. The Army drove by, started hopping off their trucks, and they're like, "Do you guys need help?" And we were like, "Oh, yes, yes, we sure do."
The 101st Airborne Division helped muck out the restaurant that took on a foot of water. Mary Bobick manages La Strada, an Italian restaurant overlooking the Lake Lure beach. Their building suffered no physical damage, and the restaurant managed to reopen last Halloween. But business has been slow through the cold weather months, renters and day trippers opting for other locations.
The weddings were relocated to other areas, so we weren't able to do very many rehearsal dinners.
Chimney Rock and Lake Lure enjoy a symbiotic relationship. The park reopening over the summer benefited Lake Lure. Just like the lake refilling, hopefully by late spring 2026, will help Chimney Rock.
I think it's been really beautiful the way the communities have worked together to support one another.
Well, as Helene's floodwaters roared down the mountains, they created landslides and massive amounts of debris. We have 2 reports, starting with meteorologist Megan Danahay right now.
A staggering statistic is the number of landslides observed during Helene.
About 2,000 have been confirmed so far. As we get improved imagery after the storm, we'll know the number is actually much, much greater than that.
A debris flow is an extremely destructive phenomenon here in our mountains.
A debris flow is a type of landslide, but it occurs in saturated soil. It's effectively a fast-moving river, if you will, of mud, boulders, trees, just about anything that can be removed from a hill slope. It can go as fast as 30 miles an hour. Sometimes even faster. It can travel a mile or 2 from where it starts.
You may live on a small stream here in WNC that will never flood your home with water. But because that small stream starts on a steep mountain slope, it can absolutely carry a 200-foot wide debris flow that will completely destroy anything in its path.
This is all woody debris that's been removed from the Pigeon River here in Clyde since Helene. You can see how dangerous it would be if it was still in the river, because during Helene, the water level was up above that bridge.
The river is down now, but it wasn't on September 27th, as I witnessed firsthand that morning at the Charles Street Bridge.
The water is hitting it, also debris is coming in, and every now and then you can hear a big thump as debris hits the bridge here.
Removing the debris, Beth says, is vital in preventing it from becoming projectiles in subsequent floods.
And it would be preventing future damage to infrastructure, things that are critical to human safety. Even though we're going to go back and revisit how horrific that event was and how widespread that event was, I think it's important to say that we are making progress and things are improving.
Well, we've got so much more ahead on the Helene anniversary, including a look at the efforts to rebuild the local water systems.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn as we get a look at the Northeast. As we head through the day on Friday, you notice the steady rain that we saw Thursday has moved on. We are talking sunshine all throughout the Northeast. However, there's going to be a very weak cold front moving through the northern part of New England. Could see a quick scattered shower in some towns. Otherwise, we are looking at dry conditions into the day on Saturday as well, with mostly sunny skies. High temperatures today will top out in the 70s to right around 80 degrees all throughout New England.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Other than a few early showers on your Friday morning, I think your afternoon is looking a little drier. This cold front, though, is lingering around, and we may see a brand new disturbance firing up. In fact, it is likely, and we may see more moisture coming back over the Mid-Atlantic region, bringing more rainfall, especially late Saturday. Temperatures on Friday, at least, will be able to warm up with some sunshine. In the 80s, Saturday, we may start out warm, but it'll cool down as the rain arrives.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins here with your Southeast forecast. Dry conditions for most of the Mississippi River Valley heading into Friday, with thunderstorms across the Florida panhandle heading into Friday afternoon. More scattered showers and thunderstorms possible into the Carolinas, with pop-up downpours across the state of Florida. A frontal boundary will start to move into the state as we head into the start of the weekend. Forecast highs for your Friday.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, it was a rare to see for winds from a tropical system like Helene so far inland, but Asheville meteorologist Megan Danahay has more on just how intense they were.
Helene went through rapid intensification to a Category 4 storm at landfall.
The storm has really picked up speed.
Typically, landfalling tropical systems are moving at 12 to 14 miles an hour. Helene was trucking along at 28 miles per hour.
So it was able to carry that Category 4 momentum well inland. Well, as you go inland, the terrain goes up. The higher you go up in a storm, or the higher you go up in the atmosphere, the stronger the winds are going to be. So as we go up in terrain here in western North Carolina, it's able to tap into those stronger winds aloft in the remnant tropical cyclone.
While Helene was technically a tropical storm here because we based that designation on sustained wind speed,
we had hurricane-force wind gusts everywhere. The top of Mount Mitchell gusted to 106. We had widespread pockets of 80, 90 mile per hour wind gusts. So you take these gusts and you put it on top of the saturated soils, and the trees start rocking back and forth, and they just couldn't handle it.
Add to that full foliage and millions of trees came down. The North Carolina Forest Service estimates 822,000 acres of timberlands in the state were damaged, including more than 130,000 acres in McDowell County. Power outages went on for months in some spots, with little to no way to communicate with the outside world for days or weeks or more.
Now, you might think that all that tree damage means the region will not experience a typical fall foliage season. But meteorologist Evan Fisher, who founded the website Explore Fall, says he actually expects the region to have very good color this year.
And yet the trees look magnificent going into this season. We've had a very wet summer. Temperatures have not been extreme, and I'm greatly encouraged by what we're seeing around here.
While most of the attention was focused on western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee suffered significant damage as well. Helene washed away homes, cars, and buildings. Heather Williams caught up with the Hampton football team, where the school and stadium were both lost, or where the stadium actually was lost during the flooding.
To look at the Doe River now, it seems almost impossible to imagine the wrath it unleashed on Hampton 1 year ago.
There's a lot of debris in the water. I've seen coolers, I've seen stuffed animals, I've seen literally everything in this water.
Well, I saw a video of the propane tanks busting loose and spinning across the middle of the football field, and just you immediately think of all the games that have been played there, all the kids that have played there, how many memories there are. Shortly after I woke up, about 8:15, 8:30, the power shut completely off, and so I immediately go into panic mode of trying to get a hold of all the boys to tell them not to come to practice, not to try to come. And by the time I got to Hampton, there was water running all over the football field, all over the streets down here.
Just seeing it get flooded just broke my soul.
By midday on September 27th of 2024, floodwaters from the Doe River had overtaken much of Hampton, and particularly the high school. By the next morning, the water was gone, but it was clear the damage left behind would linger for a long time. To fill the void left by football, the Bulldogs players joined the effort to help the community.
I would just go down the river trying to find people's stuff.
Did you find anything?
I found a mailbox once and had their mail in it and a pair of car keys.
Still, the community didn't feel quite complete without football.
They had so much disaster all the way around them, all in their community. The first game back after the flood, I can remember getting emotional before the game. Just, all these people going through all this stuff, and look how many people's here to watch us.
Also in Tennessee, a county unveiled a memorial yesterday for those who lost their lives in Helene. A bench with the names of the 6 lives lost here now sits in a local cemetery. The county was also the scene of heroism after a hospital flooded. Patients and staff were taken to the roof where they were rescued by state police helicopters. While too much water caused flooding and damage, it also significantly damaged the water supply system. Asheville went 53 days without water service, and other systems were out even longer. Jennifer Emmert shows us how officials are still working to rebuild the system.
Over the last year, many repairs have been made, but the city of Asheville still faces a delicate balance to keep water flowing.
Our watersheds and our reservoirs are completely different than they were on September the 26th last year.
That's a problem with several months left in hurricane season and the threat of a big winter storm still ahead.
North Fork lost about 15% of its canopy during Helene, and so that will lead to a 20-fold increase in the amount of things like sediment that will flow into our reservoir during something like a moderate weather event.
It's even worse at the Bee Tree Reservoir, where 35% tree canopy loss means 50 times more sediment in the water during weather events.
In the wake of Helene, the sediment, the turbidity that came from the loss of tree cover, the loss of protected buffers around the watershed, the landslides created probably one of the biggest concerns for residents in this area, which was the lack of clean, clear water. One of the things that we're seeing regionally is with so many banks of rivers and streams being moved away and eroded, water's starting to come faster, sediment's starting to come more. So we need to be partnered with the professionals that know how to treat some of these water issues.
We'll stay with the National Weather Desk and our stations in Asheville and Bristol, Tennessee throughout the weekend as events mark the Helene anniversary. You can also find extensive coverage on YouTube channels of both WLOS-TV and WCYB-TV, including personal stories of survival and recovery, in-depth interviews, and stories that hold leaders accountable as the regions rebuild from the disaster. In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month this week on our podcast, we are highlighting Maria Torres, the bilingual spokesperson from the National Weather Center. Maria is also a meteorologist with an extensive history of bringing translated weather warnings to Spanish-speaking communities across the country. Here's a preview of the episode.
Growing up in Puerto Rico, Maria Torres was captivated by lightning and hurricanes. Now, years later, she's made history as the National Hurricane Center's first female public affairs officer, serving as the bilingual voice of hurricane preparedness to the nation. In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we're going off the radar with this barrier-breaking meteorologist to explore her remarkable journey. Maria will share the challenges she faced and how she overcame them.
I didn't know English when I first moved to the United States, but I really couldn't hold a conversation at first.
Her vital role in bringing life-saving storm preparedness information to Spanish-speaking communities.
I really wanted to be hands-on, making sure that I would issue the watches and warnings and I could share that information.
And why Hispanic representation matters when it comes to saving lives in the weather enterprise.
And just having that connection to know and understand what they're going through, it kind of helps give you another perspective as a forecaster and as a meteorologist.
This is about more than weather. It's about honoring heritage, amplifying representation, and harnessing the power of language to save lives.
And you can find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. Time now for a short break, but first we take to the skies over Lake Mishnak in Rhode Island.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. A lot of sunshine across the plains. Temperatures running in the mid-80s for most of the Midwest. Still got a few clouds across the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley, including some fog early this morning. Look at this tomorrow, though. Great weather for the entire Midwest here. I mean, almost wall-to-wall sun throughout the entire Midwest tomorrow. And it continues on into your Sunday as well, with temperatures still staying in the 80s for most of us.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's nice this morning, all the way from Amarillo back over to Oklahoma into Little Rock into the 50s and 60s. El Paso a little bit warmer at 69. We're looking 70s way down deep into South Texas. Cold front pulls away, dry air moves in, trough develops. There could be some scattered showers well up toward the Texas Panhandle. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty nice afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
I'm George Waldenberger with your forecast for the western United States. Look at the mild air across the Pacific Northwest, the northern Rockies, the northern U.S. Rockies in the 70s. Still watching smoke concerns, though. Parts of Washington, coastal California looks moderate as the cutoff low helps drive moisture up, cooling off parts of Arizona with rain. But we have to keep an eye on the flooding risk over New Mexico. That is the scene from out here.
Well, it's that time of the week, my favorite time of the week. We're talking about our college and NFL matchups, which does include a pretty special one. We'll start, though, with our college games of the week. USC at Illinois in Champaign. Temperatures looking good at kickoff right at noon with mainly sunny skies. Big game in Athens, Georgia, Alabama in town. Temperatures in the upper 70s and maybe dodging a few showers and thunderstorms with an evening kickoff. Then we head to State College, Penn State taking on Oregon. We'll look for a few showers and thunderstorms here as well with a temperature around 72. Some of our NFL matchups on Sunday. The Ravens taking on the Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri. It'll be a nice day with temperatures in the mid-80s, a bit toasty on the field. The Eagles in town taking on the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. We'll look for scattered showers and thunderstorms, temperatures in the upper 80s. Across the pond we go. We've got the NFL Dublin game going on. This will be a 9:30 in the morning kickoff Eastern time. That is 2:30 in the afternoon for Irish Standard Time. The weather's looking good. It is an outdoor stadium at Crook Park Stadium. Temperatures 15 degrees. That's Celsius, of course. 60 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and every day. Would you believe the National Weather Desk debuted 3 years ago today? And we appreciate your decision to spend a few minutes with us each and every one of our weekdays. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandergraft in Washington. We appreciate you being here today. Make it a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.